Yo, 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 what is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of CCT. Today we're going to be doing number 929, unique emails, and talking about strings in general. So this is a problem that involves a lot of knowledge of strings and their functions, and I wanted to take time today to not only discuss functions used here from the STL, but also these functions refer to the string functions, but also to go over a few other string functions that I think might be useful um, in the future. Okay, so basically, what this is saying is you get a vector. Well, first of all, what is the color of the day? Let's do this blue. Okay. So basically you get a vector of strings, which are supposed to be emails. And what you want to do is see, the question's kind of like long and confusing, but basically what you want to do is you want to, if there's a dot in it, this is like the main important part of the question. If there's a dot in it, you want to remove it. And if there's a plus in it, you want to remove the plus and everything after the plus except it until you get to the A, the ampersand. So this is the local part. This is the local part that you edit, and that's the part you'll be editing, and then the domain name you keep the same. And then after that, that's basically what we want to do, and then I'll be putting that into a set. Basically, we're seeing how many unique emails there are, and these are things that don't really count as unique emails. So if you put it in a set and they're the same, remember sets only hold a key, and the key is, and if there's two emails that go in it that are the same key, then it only counts as one key, which is exactly what we wanted. We're looking for unique emails. But anyway, we're going to get to just how to get rid of these periods, and if there's a plus, get rid of everything here. Okay, so some string functions. So let's say we have string n, okay? Actually, no, what am I saying? S, string s. What does s.find do? What could we do here? S.find returns, you could put, I was just looking this up, you could put a string or a character in here, and it returns the index. So this could be, we'll call it A for ampersand, and I'm going to use this to turn it into two substrings. Before we get into that, let's look at find. Yeah, I'm right here. So let's see what it could do. So it could do string warrior size t position. So this is a starting position. So you could search for a string for the first occurrence of the sequence by the specified arguments. When position is specified, the search only includes characters at or after this position. So you could look for it after a specific position. So that is a worthy parameter to talk about, but not so necessary here. All we want is the index of the A. So now I'm going to get a substring. So string local part, and this gets, let's look up how we use substring for string. String substring. I've looked this up multiple times. So you basically, it's a position, a starting position, and a length. Okay? Yeah. And if you don't give it a length, it goes to the end. That's what equals npos means. It's the end. So for example, here you do str.substring, and it just goes to the end. So it's just position. Yeah, it just cuts off, which we could actually use. We could use that because we'll get the local part, which is going to be 0 to A, right? A would be the index, but also the length, right? Because if A is like, if A is here, that would mean 2. And if we're starting at 0, would it be 1, 2? Or would this count as 3? Actually, let me... Oh, right. But we want it right before. If we wanted to include the ampersand here, we would have to do A plus 1. But since we only want these two, we can just do A, right? Because we don't want that ampersand. So that's going to get us... Oh, wow, I wrote the syntax completely terribly. This is not how you get the substring. You don't just put the parameters in. You do s dot substra, and then you put 0 and A. Okay, and now to do the domain part, string domain, I'm going to include the ampersand here. I'm going to now do s dot substring, and here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to put an A in here, because that's all I need. Because if I don't specify the length, it just goes to the end of the thing. Okay, so now we have the domain and thing, and so now I want to modify the local part. I want to delete first all of... Actually, what do I want to do first? Do I want to delete everything after the plus sign? Okay, let me just see how. So to delete everything after the plus sign, this is a beautiful way to do it. You find the plus sign, and so how you do it is you do local gets now the local substring, and it's going to be the start, and then let's find the first iteration of the plus sign. Notice that this is not going to include the actual plus sign, because let's say the plus sign is at index 3 here, so 3. And we go 0 and a length of 3. That's going to only include these ones here. So this is a cool way of getting just those before that. Okay, now let's make this even more better. So another thing that you can do is there is a function called remove. And let's look at that. Let's look that one up. So string remove C++, or not erase, remove. Okay, so what you do with remove is you give it 2 iterators, a first and a last, and you give it a value that you want to delete. And it's going to go through those first iterators, or those 2 iterators, and not necessarily delete the values, but what it does is, for example, if you put in this array here, and then you call remove the beginning and end, it's gonna like put them here. So the size won't change. Like it's gonna put all those 20s or some messed up values here. So the size won't really change, but what it's gonna do is it's now gonna return a new ending value. That's what it does. So transforms first last into a range with all elements that compare equal to the value removed, and returns an iterator to the new end of the range. Okay, so it kind of like reorganizes all of the elements and then puts an iterator to the end of the array, or not, end of where the end of where the garbage starts, you know, like we stop it before we get to the garbage. This is our new array, but technically we could go in the other spots, but we're gonna have an iterator here. So if you want to print out those after, you have to use pbegin, this new p end, which is the new end, Okay, and so what we could do with strings is, so if we call uh, remove, we can do iterators. So s dot begin. So strings can have iterators for sure, and then s dot end, and then the value is going to be a dot, a period. Okay, so what this is gonna do, it's gonna return a yeah, let's just erase this for now. It's gonna return an iterator to the end of the new string. Sorry, it's gonna so like after, if you have like a B C period D E period F period G period H, what it's going to do is it's going to rearrange stuff. So it's A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, and then move those 4 periods to the end, and then return an iterator right past the end of where the string should be ending. So what we can do is use, so remove does actually modify s. So s is like this and like that. So how can we now remove these last two things? So remove is kind of a misnomer. It's not really removing, it's kind of just moving it to the end. But something that does do it is a string erase, and I think let's get to erase and how we use that. So string erase C++. And so basically you could either give a position and a length like a substring, you can give an iterator to a single place to delete, or you could give a range. And what we're going to do here is give a range to delete. Whoops. So what we're going to do is we're going to give it, actually this is going to be the beginning. This is the beginning. And then we're going to do s dot end is our end, right? That's pointing here. So this is the new beginning and end that's pointing to. And then we're going to do, oh, sorry, these should all be loc. Let me do that quickly. And then this is going to be local.erase. And so what this is basically going to be doing is first doing this, removing it, then this is going to return an iterator to beginning of this, and then it's going to erase from here after the reordered local thing here to here and erase them. Okay, so now local is all good to go, and then string. We could actually just like do this maybe. S gets local plus domain, and now this is the email address without the periods, and the plus thing to the end is also gone. Okay. So some other things I wanted to share with you. If we go to string, I don't know if C++ is going to display them all for us, but I want to go over some other useful functions that oh yeah, they do, which is nice. You guys should really look through these. These are cool. So ones that I wanted to jump to are first, find first of. So that's kind of the same as find, I think. Find last of is interesting. Find first not of is also interesting. This could be useful, you know? Finding the first not of something, and you could still do the same thing by passing in a string, passing in, you know, a character pointer or a character itself, and then you could also specify the position. There's also find last not of. And so again, you could specify the position, but this is going to be starting from the end. That's why the position by default equals endpause. And you could again pass in a string or just a character. So these are interesting things that do have a lot of uses. Surprisingly, you might not think, why would I want to find last not of or find first not of or something? You'd be surprised. There's some interesting things. Pop back is an interesting one. It just takes off the last letter, I guess. Let's see, what else looks interesting? I've never seen this one. Data returns a pointer to an array that contains the same sequence of characters that make up the value of the string. Huh. Let's see how they use that. I have never used this before, but so it basically just turns it, okay. It turns it into a C string. Oh, okay. There are no guarantees that a null character terminates the end of the C to str for a function that provides such guarantee. Okay, I'm not sure about that. Append, append and pushback. I really like this plus equals operator, because if you want to append something, you could just do like s equals s plus, or that would be pushed back. Actually, you could do s equals something plus s, and that'll do it. This is C to string gets a pointer to an array that contains a null terminated character. So yeah, so this turns a string to a C string, C underscore str. I am really not a fan of C strings. I mean, nobody is really. Reserve, interesting. What does reserve do? Requests that the string capacity be adapted to a planned change in size if n is greater than string capacity. This causes the string to increase. Requests that string capacity be adapted to that. So, okay. Yeah, that's really all I wanted to go into. Maybe I'll make another video where I go into like more STL, very in-depth, unique functions that might help. But for now, I think I showed you the ones I wanted to, which were these, and I think I'll call it a day for now. Alright, so I hope you learned something and enjoyed this video. I will see you next time on CCT.